In this series, you will learn how to model a realistic 3D human skull like this one without sculpting and by only using two reference images for creating a super detailed texture. You can even download these very reference images for free by going to blenderfrenzy.com and signing up for a freebies membership, which is useful if you want to follow along with the videos exactly. And if you want access to even more members only stuff like extra videos and the completed 3D Skull model for download, check out the Plus and Pro memberships. But this course is free and beginner friendly and goes at a pace that is fairly easy to follow along. However, I do assume you are already somewhat familiar with Blender or at least how to navigate in a 3D program. So maybe not necessarily for the ultra beginner. In this video, we will model out the shape of the main skull, so let's get started. Welcome to Blender Frenzy. I am Justin, and Halloween is just around the corner, so let me introduce you to the star of today's tutorial, Todd, my roommate. So this is a picture that I took from my skull. I don't know if you see my video. I'll leave a link to it if you wanted to watch that. It's just, I ordered a whole skeleton, and it's not just a stylistic Halloween skeleton, it's something that you would use like in a classroom. So we're going to use the skull to make a skull asset for Halloween. So it's not going to be all that anatomically correct necessarily, but it's going to be something really cool that you can use as a prop or an asset into one of your video projects. So let's get started by opening up Blender. You can see my screencast keys down here. I'm going to delete the default cube, select everything, and then hide those. I'm going to press 1 to go into front mode here, and then I'm just going to drag in my front reference image here, snap that to the cursor. Then I'm going to press 3, go into side mode, and drag this one in, same thing. Now this isn't going to be a complete beginner's tutorial. I assume that you know a little bit out of Blender. I'm going to grab that on the Y and move that back a little bit, grab this on the X and move that back. But that's why I have my screencast keys. Okay, let's get another cube. I should have left that default cube actually. Okay, let's go into X-ray mode here. I'm going to go into 1 and just scale this up. Just want to line this up. Scale that on the X and move that over here. I am going to move this one back. I'm going to move this back so where the 3D cursor is right on the front of the face, so that when we add our plane, it'll be right on the front already. So it looks like I'm going to have to also move this back a little bit here. Okay. And then remove this back. It looks like the reference image needs to be changed. I don't want to change the size of my box. I can change the size of the front and the back though. But I've already done the top and the bottom with the front view here. So this is good. So what I need to do is take this and adjust the size. Can I do that? There we go. Adjust the size of the reference image. Just going to pull that up. And I should have waited to resize this until I had. There we go. So now when we look at it in front mode and in side mode, it lines up perfectly. Okay, we don't need this cube anymore. I'm going to delete that. But before we start modeling, if we go out into perspective mode, we can see both of these. Now, you might want to do this, and I may change it as I go. It's just totally personal preference. But if you select one of these and go into the object data properties here, if we pull this out a little bit here, it says show in orthographic and perspective. I'm just going to uncheck perspective so that these don't show up in the perspective view, because when I'm rotating around the model, I don't necessarily want to see the reference images. And then I'm also going to come to the outliner and enable my restriction toggles, these two here. So we have the 4. And then I'm going to uncheck the selection to disable those. So this is the front. So I'll do ref front, and this will be ref side. Yeah, and you can see the origin there. So now we can't actually select them in the viewport by accident, and we are ready to start modeling. So I'm going to go into front mode and come in here, add in a mesh plane, rotate that on the X 90 degrees, scale that down, something like this. Oh, I actually do want to do one more thing with the front here. I just want to rotate this a little bit. So I want to be able to select it here. and then just rotate it because I want that, trying to get this lined up in the middle as possible, this blue Z line. It's not going to be perfect because the skull isn't perfectly symmetrical, but I think that is good enough. Okay, so disable that selection there, and then go back to our plane. And I'm going to come to the modifiers and add in a mirror modifier here, and then select clipping, select the object and go into, so I just noticed something weird. So you can see the outline selection here, but if I move it here, you can't see it with my image. So let's go back to our reference. And I think that's right here. So the depth, I'm just going to do back here. I think I want to do that on, let's do 3. Okay, let's go to this one also. And then choose back there as well. Just so that we can see our selection of our plane in front. So, but for now we're good. Okay, so let's add, we got that mirror modifier. So let's go into edit mode on our plane. And then I'm just grab everything and you can see it starts to mirror that. And so what I'm going to do is going to place this so that we have some pretty good topology. And topology is the way the polygons flow around the face and the skull. And it's similar to a face, but it's different. So we want topology to flow around the eyes and down around the nose, down this way, and across here, so that it kind of merges with this and this. So just to think about that before you get started, how you want your polygons to flow. And full disclaimer, I'm actually a very beginner modeler. I know how to do it, but what I'm doing now is self-taught. So all you expert modelers out there, if you're watching this, I'm sorry for all of the glaring mistakes that I'm gonna probably make throughout the thing. So you've been warned. But I have done this like upwards of 30, maybe 50 times so that I can get it as simple and efficient as possible. Okay, so let's get in here and scale that here. Now let's select these two here, because before I start making a whole bunch of cuts, I want to match it to the front of the face. So I'm going to bring these back here, not to here because that's getting onto the side of the face, but everywhere I think the front of the skull is going to be, that's where I want this. And then I also think I want to bring this one in here like this. Okay, so back in front mode, let's make some loop cuts here. I could inset these like this with I, but I don't want these diagonal here. I want more topology here. So instead, I'm going to undo that and add in some loop cuts here just to go around the eye on the top, the bottom, and then the sides, just around the eye like that. And then I'll merge these together and these together down here to keep that diagonal. But before I do that, I'm going to add a couple more loop cuts right in the middle here, and then right in the middle here. Select this vertex and delete vertices. Okay, and then just shape this around the eye. These can merge at center. Same with these down here, merge at center. And then we have now created a little circle that goes around the eye. So what we're looking for is edge flow. So if I Control R, you can see that this flows all the way around from the forehead to the nose, which is what we want for now. And I'm not going to add this loop cut here just yet. I do want to add one here and adjust that here. But I don't want to do too many cuts right up front. I'm going to take this, move that a little bit here. So we do want this from the forehead to the nose, but we also want something to go around the eye completely. So the easiest way to do this is actually just to alt-click this edge loop. I'm just going to scale that up a little bit here, and then E to extrude, right-click to cancel that action, and then S to scale inwards. So like that. So then we can place these. And I'm just going to adjust these here a little bit. This will be the bridge. If I press GG, I can just do sliding. So that's going to just slide it on the existing geometry. So that's going to be up on the bridge of the nose. And before I make any other changes, what we need to do is come here and make sure that our points are matching in the side view, which I probably should have done already. These are right on the front of the eye, so they need to be moved up here like this. That needs to be on the front of the eye here. So I'm just going back and forth, seeing where these actually should be in relation to each other. Actually, I do want this and maybe a little bit more like that. So this and this are about the same, on the same plane. So we want to bring that up and then pull this one back. And then take these and we're going to pull these out. We're just shaping this to the contour of the head right now. Maybe pull that back just a tad. Okay, so take this and we're going to GG to slide that along the geometry, and we're going to take these, move them back. I'm just trying to get the bridge of the head here, or bridge of the nose, brow of the head, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and just on the front here of the face. And then of course these need to come out like this. So just going back and forth, make sure that it all makes sense. So since this is all the front, these need to come in really close, because they're pretty much all like on the same plane. Something like that. Front. And it's not going to line up perfectly, but if we go back and forth enough, it lines up enough. And we're spending a lot of time on this because we want that edge flow. Once we get the good topology, then we can kind of go from there. But we want to spend a little bit of time on this here first. Okay, so now we have something like this where we have an edge loop going all the way around the eye, and then we have the brow to the nose. Okay, so let's take these three vertices, not this one. E to extrude downwards, and then we can also line it up here a little bit better, like this. And then, yeah, so that looks good there. We should probably save it. All right, so I'm going to press C to circle select, and I'm just going to select everything right here. I'm going to middle click and deselect that one. I don't think I want that one. Right. No, I just want these here. And then I'm going to, inside mode, E to extrude back. And this is going to start to be our side. Just put it straight back to there. And then we're going to pull these in, because this is going to be the side of the eye there, something like that. And then this is going to be the bottom of the cheekbone here. And then we're going to bring this back here. So I'm just kind of lining that up. And you can see if I hide this plane, and we can actually just label this skull. All right, and let's go out into 3D mode here and see what we have. So this is a pretty good shape with clean topology so far. I like this. Now let's extrude out the nose a little bit here. Let's get the nose shape at least. I'm going to do another loop cut right here, and we're going to slide that down. So this is on, gonna make this like nose shape here, like this. Then I'm gonna go into face select mode and select these three faces all the way down to the bottom here. And then in side view, I'm going to E to extrude them out like this. And I don't want, if I press period on the numpad, it will zoom in onto that. I don't want this face, so I'm gonna delete faces there. Okay, so let's take these again, and we're going to scale those in on the X here like this. And then I'm going to move the points. So I'm just going to move these points here down, GG to edge slide, or point slide, vertex slide. And we're going to bring this one up also here. It's going to, yeah. Okay, so let's bring this shape up so we kind of match the contour like we did before. And then take these, line them up here. And just line these up the best we can to the nose here. This, bring this all the way back here, like that. These we can bring back here like this. And actually these we can do an edge or a vertex slide and bring these closer because they're pretty much on the same plane here. Oh, well, we need to bring these back. Oh, okay. So that was edge slide. Let's just actually just do a regular G to grab these, move these out. These here we can edge slide, I think. Depending on if you actually want to move the geometry and deform it more, or just slide it on the existing geometry, that'll determine that. This, let's see, that's back too far. We want this to come out a little bit more. So we're just going to bring that here, grab it, and bring it out like that. And we can grab it on this as well. There we go. That's a little bit better. I'm just going to look at a 3D mode. I'm going to grab these out this way a little bit, just to make that a little bit more round here. And same thing with this. Bring that back just a tad. Awesome. Okay, we're getting a good shape here. So let's do a couple more things. Let's bring these down just a little bit here. All right, and there's some construction going on outside. I hope you can't hear that too loudly. I'll try to be mindful of that. But I'm going to add in a loop cut here. Control R, by the way, so that I can get this. And actually, this one is going to come in. Wrong one. This one here. It's going to come in. And I'm going to bring this in just a little bit like that. So you can see what that looks like here. And then one more right here. And I'm just going to pull these back a little bit. Pull this. Pull these out. That should be down a little bit more. Again, it's not perfect. You can see it's not lined up perfectly in with the reference images. It's good enough for our purposes. Okay, so I think this is good for now. So you don't have to do what I'm going to do next, and you don't have to work this way, but I am paranoid about losing any sort of information, not being able to, go back and undo things. So I'm going to go into edit mode, select my skull, Shift D to duplicate that, and then I'm just going to hide that duplicate. Let's go back in here and then we can continue editing this. And if we royally screw this up, we can always fall back on the duplicate that we made. Okay, so from here, it's actually starting to get a little bit easier. I'm going to take these points here. So select this one and then control select this one to select that range there. And then E to extrude out, S to scale on the Z, press 0 so that it's just flat, and then we can rotate it. And I'm just going to rotate it. I could use this as a guide, this line straight through the skull, but we're not going to use that really as a guide for anything else. But for now, I'll just line it up with that. And then I'll extrude that out, rotate it, kind of at like a 45-degree angle, somewhere like right there. And then extrude that out again, and then kind of right down the center here. And then I want to mirror it on this side. So we have 1, 2, and then 3 I think I want to do. So we'll do that same thing here. So 1 here at a 45-degree angle. So 1 and 1. And then 2, this will be pretty much almost flat. Oh, I don't want to do that. Almost flat. And then this one will be for that one. I keep pressing the wrong button. Grab, rotate, not extrude. Okay, and so in 3D space, this is what we have. So we got a nice curvature on the top of the head there. And then let's go into edge mode and select these. Press F to fill in that face. That's what that is. And then make one loop cut here. Select these two and fill, and then fill that one as well. Okay, so now this is what we have. Okay, and the next step I want to do is select these faces and I to inset those. So I want to create another loop kind of going around here, but I don't want the loop to be on the bottom, so I'm just going to delete these faces and take these two edges and just grab them and pull them down a little bit so that they kind of match up here. Now we can take these and extrude them out, and I'm going to match, just extrude and rotate and match this. So here's this is going straight across. This edge is going to mirror this. So then we need one more down here. So I'm going to rotate that a little bit more, pull that out, extrude this, and then rotate this. We'll be adding more subdivisions and everything later so that it forms the shape of this better, but for now, this is good. F to fill in those faces there. And I'm going to take this edge, move it up a little bit, take this, and we're going to line this up a little bit like this. So now we have this will line up with this. So I'm going to fill that face, this one here, and this one here. Now we need this still here because you can see we've got a split here that we need to continue down. So let's just Control R to do a loop cut here and bring that over here. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these two together. So if I take this, one of these here, and move it around, and then if I Control, I can snap that to points of interest. Now right now it's snapping to the increment, so the grid. So I want to change this to vertex, and now if I grab this and then Control, it'll snap. Now the snapping, if you don't know, snapping isn't relative to the points. It's relative to your mouse cursor. So for example, if I have my mouse cursor over here and I grab this and I press Control and I try to snap that, you can see the points aren't snapping to each other. Points are only going to snap to whatever vertex my mouse is over. So you can see how if I go over like this, that point is moving far, far away, but once I hover over this, it'll snap to that. So that's a little bit confusing if you don't know that that's happening. However, these have not been merged yet, and I could select all and press M and merge by distance, but that's a little too tedious. I'm going to turn on auto merging. So this button, this is auto merge vertices. You can also click it here. Okay, and you can choose the threshold for that here. But now if I click and drag one of these points and then Control, hold down Control and snap it to this one, now they have become one and they are merged together. Perfect. So we are good here. Let's save it. And we've got a good shape for our head and our face. Let's finish connecting this down here and get this shape ready for the cheekbone. So what I really want is these actually to be on the back towards this here. So I'm going to take these here and just move them on the X. So grab on the X and move those in. That's a little too far. I'm going to pull it like to the middle there because I want to add another loop cut here. And then I want to take this one and we'll just Control and then auto merge those together and pull this back a little bit like that. Awesome. And let's finish connecting these because then this edge, if I go into edge mode, select these two, F to fill that face, and then let's make a loop cut right here because this is going to be, and that lines up pretty perfectly right there, the extension of these. If I take these three and E to extrude, I can hold down Control and then hover my mouse over here. Now you see it's not snapping to the right one. So that's because we have it set to closest. And we do want it to be on closest. But to change this, all we have to do is make sure that our mouse is closest to the one we want to snap. So we want to hover over here and then press G to grab that. And now if I press Control, it'll snap to that one. Okay, so the next part, we're going to extrude this and on the X. So hit E and then X and just move those in to where they touch, because then they're going to clip with the mirror modifier there. And now we want to connect these here. And how many faces do we have? Let's get out of X-ray mode here for a second. So, oh yeah, so we just have 2 faces. So we just need to split this down, do a loop cut here, kind of line that up, and then take this edge to fill, and then these 2 edges and fill that. Just like that. This is going to kind of be up, actually, both of these on the faces are going to be up like this. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this under part here. This will depend on your model. I'm not going to model all of the intricacies here that you see, just the main shape of the skull. That'll be just fine for our purposes for Halloween. Okay, let's select these faces here. I just press C to circle select these. And go into side mode. I'm going to scale this up and move it up. Scale and move it up like this, so that it matches the contour of this. And actually, we can take these edges, GG, to slide that up, just so they follow the contour a little bit better. All right, so now we've got a skull that has fairly good topology. I wouldn't say it's perfect by any means, but it's simple and it's got our basic shape. And we should have pretty good edge flow for the things that we want to do to expand onto this. So let's save it. And we're moving on to the next part here, which I think is going to be the forehead and cheekbones. And so I'm going to hover my mouse over here, Alt. Oh, let's go into face mode first. If I Alt select in the middle here, depending on where I select, if I select towards the top, it'll go this way. If I select towards the side, it will go this way. And then I'm just going to Shift and then deselect these. And then let's select these here as well. What I'm going to do is press I to inset a little bit, a tiny bit, like that. And then Alt S will push or pull. So if I go up with my mouse, it'll push that out. Or if I pull it down, it will pull in on that shape. So I'm going to pull this out just a little bit, just a tad, like this. And you can find that down here too if you come to shrink and fatten. That's what this is. So Alt S is the shortcut for that. First thing I'm going to do is take this face and delete that. And then take this edge, grab it on the X, and just snap it here so that that bridges together like that. And then for the front here, I'm going to just take some of these and we're going to shape this a little bit better. Let's just scale that in here and bring it in, maybe bring this out a little bit and bring that in. Let's go in our side view and X-ray mode here. Yeah, so we want to basically bring these kind of in. You know what? Let's look to see what we have as far as our subdivision surface. So let's add in a subdivision surface here. And let's go back into object mode, right click, shade auto smooth, which is new. If you're not using the latest version of Blender, you can just do shade smooth and then come down here to your normals and then choose auto smooth here, and you can choose your angle. But that's fine for now. I'm going to do one more level. Be careful of the levels that you do because it might crash your Blender if it's too much. Yeah, so this is two inset here. These need to be kind of on the same level. So let's bring these back in. And by the way, every time I've done this, like I said, I've done this tutorial like I don't know how many times, but every time I do it, it's different. So I've gotten a little bit more consistent now, but bring those in a little bit. And I guess let's take these and then pull them out. Okay, so now I'm going to use proportional editing, which is this button here, and we'll keep this as smooth here, but I'll grab this, and if I scroll with my mouse up, it'll limit the influence of where that's going to change those to. So just pulling these in. I'm going to press O because that's the shortcut. Just line these up together where that makes the most sense. Yeah, that lines up a little bit better. Okay, and then let's take these edges. Ooh, let's see. These edges, we're just going to slide them in a little bit like that. Okay, good, good. All right, let's see what that looks like now. Yeah, all right, that doesn't look too shabby. We can always adjust these later. Okay, saving it. And the next thing we want to do is the cheekbone area. So let's go into side mode in our X-ray here. And it's basically this here. And this is, we've already got a shape kind of going here, but I'm going to do something maybe a little different. I'm going to take this face here and then in side mode, just extrude that out and scale it down a little bit and then move it. I'm going to stop here and then E to extrude one more time like that. And this is what it looks like. So let's go out of X-ray mode. What I'm going to do now is we want to bridge this here. Now, you know, I'm going to try something that I didn't do before. Zoom in on this one here. Take this face and then let's rotate around here and take this face, shift select those. If I right click, I can do a bridge faces like that. And do I like that? Let's see what that looks like here. I don't think I like that so much regarding our, no, because it basically just merges right there. What I normally did was I added another loop cut down here like this, which I think I am going to do anyway, just to make it even and so we have a little bit more geometry to work with. So I'm going to just undo this. So let's do that. Let's Control R, loop cut like that. And then we can take this face and this face in here, right click bridge faces. There we go. And that's a lot better. And then we can take edges here and slide that just to make these a little bit more organic looking and feeling. Maybe we take both of those and slide those in. Slide that out a little bit. Yeah. Let's scale that in down a little bit. And let's look at it in our X-ray. Oh yeah, look at that. We can also adjust our X-ray over here so that it's not as strong and then we can see through it a little bit easier. Yeah, I like that. Awesome. Okay, this is good. This is working good. Saving it. Okay, let's get the shape of the cheekbone here a little bit better. Let's get out of X-ray mode. I want this. Alt select that around there and then select these there, just those. Okay, Shift H to hide everything else, and then we can go back into X-ray mode. And let's just start adding loop cuts here and then scaling to the contours of this. We can also Control B to bevel that. And same thing here. Scale that, oops, scale that out. Let's rotate that a little bit. And then same thing here. Control B to bevel that and scale that down. Let's just do on the Z. All right, one more here and scale that up a little bit. And I lied. Let's do one more here and scale that down. Alt select this to select that loop. Control B to bevel that. There we go. All right, so that looks like it's in the shape of the cheekbone there. So let's Alt H to unhide everything and see what we have so far. All right, so let's look at the subdivision. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice, nice. Okay, so let's make a little bit, we've got to do a little bit more changes here. The side of the head is flat, so we want to change that. I'm going to go into vertex select these two. Go into front mode, turn on proportional editing, and G to grab that and scale this up like so. Okay, yeah, that's looking pretty good. It's not quite round enough. Let me see. Let's select this one and then control select this and then GG to grab and just pull that in just to make that a little bit more round. I'm going to do the same thing with this. So GG, we'll do that here as well. So take these, this one, and then if I control select, it selects the shortest distance, which that doesn't look like the shortest distance, but if I select this one and then control select this one first and then this one, it'll work. GG to grab and slide that. Oh yeah, that's a lot more round-ish. We can also do the same thing for these here. GG, there we go. Okay, that's pretty good. I don't normally like to edit a lot of geometry while in subdivision surface because it could be very deceiving, the looks can, and then once you go back out, it can look very blocky, kind of like this. So you got to be careful with that. So let's see if we can actually do something about this. So let's take this, for example, and go into X-ray mode. Okay, let's grab and move this down to more of the contour. I'm going to take these also, and we're going to slide those in. GG to slide those in. And same thing with these. So let's even these out a little bit here. And you can kind of tell with the shade smooth too, as I'm doing this, and that's a good indicator without being in subdivision surface. We can also maybe do this down here. That's, I think, good enough for now. Let's look at what that looks like here. Oh yeah, let's see here. That, let's just take this face actually and grab and then just pull all of that out. How does that look? Looks all right. I mean, obviously it's out a little from the mesh, but once we add that subdivision surface, it lines up pretty nicely. Okay, let's take maybe this one here, and let's adjust that here like that, and let's take this one, I think, yeah, and then we'll pull this out. There we go. I'm also going to take these edges in here and just pull that in. Okay, but then that's actually pulling the cheekbone along with that in with my proportional editing. So here we can actually come up and say connected only. So the cheekbone is not connected geometry, so I can just pull that in a little bit, and then maybe just that. And actually, I am going to take this one as well and grab that and move that in. And up. Yeah, something like that. We'll take this also and move that in and up. Yeah, let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Let's see what this looks like actually up here. Yeah, so we want that. That's pretty good. Let's see what that looks like in side mode. So here we want this to basically line up with that. So let's tighten that up maybe here. I think what I want to do is GG to slide that up. So we're going to tighten that up and see what that looks like. Yeah, that's getting there. Let's do G to move that in as well. And then I'm going to pull this in like that. Yeah, there we go. A little bit more of a defined area there. Okay, so what should we work on next? First, actually, we should probably save it. Okay, and that looks good. Let's pull these back out a little bit like that. And pull this up a little bit. Let's take these and GT just edge slide them a little bit, and then we'll pull them up. Just kind of wanting to match the contour of the head a little bit more. Okay, let's do the nose. So I'm gonna select face, select all of these faces here. And C to select those faces, and these faces, and this face, and not that face. Okay, so I'm going to make a vertex group. Why not? Let's do this. Let's do head back. Assign. Actually, you know what? I think we can do face maps. I think that's what this is. Let's just test it out. Head back. Delete that. And assign. And then deselect. Oh, look at that. And select. Oh, yeah, good. Let's also assign this one here. So select all of those. There we go. Yes, I like this. Previously, you can only do this with vertices, plural. But you couldn't do it with the faces. So it would kind of limit what you could actually include in a vertex group. So this is a lot better. I like this. Okay, so then we can just hide that. And then if we ever need to get it back, we can Alt-H to unhide that, and then we can select this really quickly by doing this and then hiding it again. Okay, so let's mess with the nose here. Maybe the cheek also, again, I'm gonna mess with the cheek a little bit. Let's see, maybe this? I think that's good enough for now. Let's focus on the nose here. So for the nose, we are going to select these two faces here. Eye to inset a little bit. And before we extrude it back, what I want to do is redirect some of this topology. So I think for this, we'll use the knife tool, which is down here. Let's go into vertex mode. Did I select the knife tool? There we go. take this and we're going to cut that straight across here. Enter. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Enter. Okay, because we want to try to keep all quads. So let's go to Edge Select, go back to our select mode. We're going to dissolve this edge, and then I believe we're going to take these three and then merge, we'll say at last. Yes, perfect. Okay, now everything is still quads here. And then what we can do is take these faces. So we're just going to extrude them. We're going to press E and that will start to extrude it back. But that kind of goes up like that. You can see how the trajectory of that. So I'm just going to do it just a little bit and then grab it and then ZZ twice. And then that will just push it straight back. But we don't want to go that far. ZZ and there. Something like that. That's good. Okay, and let's take this edge, slide that down here just a little bit, and then we'll take both of these edges and grab ZZ, move those back as well, like that. And let's see what we have. Awesome. I'm going to take this top one though, and we're going to GZZ, move that forward just a tad. Okay, we're also going to redirect some of the topology over here. So let's take these two edges, move those back. And so instead of this being inset here, we're actually going to take these two faces and delete those faces. Make a loop cut here, and then a loop cut here. We can just take these and fill these faces in. Like that. And then, of course, let's bring this one up a little bit. Like that. Let's see what that looks like in our subdivision surface. Okay, yeah, that looks a lot better there. But let's take these and I think just kind of pull them down over here. Let's see what that looks like. Ooh, that's weird. I mean, it could just have to do with our auto smooth settings. Yeah, I think that does. I'm gonna just type in 50 here. Yeah, there we go. That's good enough. Let's unhide it, the rest of it, and see what we have. Looking pretty cool, looking pretty cool. Okay, so let's get the eyes. So let's select that head. Just make sure we're lined up still. Maybe I'll take these again and pull these down. And then we'll take this and we'll try to line it up here. And the nose also just a little bit. And again, I don't want to do too much in subdivision surface. Something else that I'm noticing here is that it kind of looks like he's frowning up here. So let's just take these. There we go. Now it doesn't look like he's frowning so much. Although these still could be. There, that's pretty good. Good enough for now. Okay, so let's focus on the eye. Let's come down to our head and select that and H, and that's why we did that. Oh, except for, I guess it added those on there, which they shouldn't be. Alt H here. Oh, did it? Ah, interesting. Select this one and then remove. So now we select that. But we also weren't in face select mode to begin with. So let's select those and hide. There we go. Let's go out of subdivision surface and all right. So now edge alt select to select that edge loop, E to extrude inwards here, and let's go in the front mode. I'm just going to scale this down like that. And then I know because I have the skull that the inside goes in this way like this. So I'm just going to put this to right about there. I'm also going to add in a loop cut here, scale that up. Oh, I don't want to be in proportional editing. Scale that up. I'm going to do another loop cut here and pull this out so we can have a more defining kind of edge there. Maybe actually take these GG to grab and move those in a little bit. And then these ones are giving me a little bit harder of a time this time, and I don't know why. Just grab those on the Y and pull those out. Oh, that's probably way too far. Maybe if we pull these out here like this instead. Oops, that merged those, and I don't want them merged. That's why it's best to do all of this in not subdivision surface. Okay, that's a little bit better. How does this look in front? That's not too bad, I guess. Let's do proportional editing here. I haven't done this in a while. I should have been doing this already. So I'm going to Shift D to duplicate that again, and then we'll just hide that. Just so we have something to fall back on. I don't know, for some reason that those look too low, this here. So let's take that whole edge loop and bring it up. I think that maybe that is actually more accurate to my skull. And that looks better here too. Let's take this one. Yeah, actually that looks really good. Okay, so now I'm actually gonna duplicate this again and hide it. Okay. So here's our skull so far. So I think that'll be the end of this video. In the next video, we will start on the top teeth. So when you're ready, head on over there. You can find this video and a whole lot more by going to my new website, blenderfrenzy.com, where you can access lots of free and members-only content, including extra tutorials, downloads, assets, blend files, Q&A live streams, and much more. Signing up helps support me, which in turn gives you more Blender content, so head on over to blenderfrenzy.com and become a member today.